Hi, it's Candace Newton from Unlocking Secrets for Women. And one of the things that I absolutely love is music. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of getting to know and becoming a friend with Hsieh, who is the maestro and conductor for the Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra, and who is playing here today at the Michael J. Fox Theatre in Burnaby. Excited to be here. I've already gone backstage a little bit, done a little bit of secret filming back there, and I will be interviewing Ken shortly and letting you have a listen to some of his amazing music. Most importantly, the story of how this orchestra started and his passion behind music and really finding amazing talent and grooming them and bringing them together to be a part of an incredible music experience for everybody. And of course, music is a universal language. So really looking forward to interviewing him. And so we'll see you in a minute. Hsieh, who's the maestro conductor of the Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra here in Burnaby. Today is Sunday, September the 9th. It's an interesting day. And here you are. Right now, you've just finished your dress rehearsal?
Absolutely. We just finished our dress rehearsal. It's early in the morning, but they're playing very well.
Yeah, they sound fantastic. We captured a little bit of that. So, Ken, really, this is a 10-year anniversary for you.
Absolutely. A 10 years anniversary. We began this orchestra in 2003 with just only 15 people. And we played at Shaughnessy Heights United Church, which is on 33rd and Granville. And the audience was extremely receptive. And we played work by Vivaldi, Bach, and Tchaikovsky, and actually the atmosphere was very, very energetic, actually, because most of the people in the orchestra were young, and so I kind of like to carry that tradition, and having just young players and have them being mentored by, you can see the Vancouver Symphony principal players are here leading the orchestra, and I think it makes a tremendous difference. I think it kind of put the mentors a bit on the edge too, but I think the great thing is the respect they have for the mentors, the knowledge that they gain from these mentors. It's extremely incredible. So we started from 15 people, and 5 years later we had about 25, 28 people, and now we have 40 players. So I think we've just gone up tremendously over the years, and right now it's actually technically a union orchestra, so it's a professional training orchestra. That's what I call it, and I think there's a lot of great energy in this orchestra, and I'm really looking forward to our 10th anniversary.
Now, what would make you, because you're a pretty young guy, what would make you 10 years ago come up with this idea to start this orchestra? I'm curious about you in those moments when you're sitting there and you come up with this idea. Go take me right back there.
Well, actually, when I was 22 years old, I got appointed to a festival called Pacific Music Festival in Japan, and this was my first kind of real job. And I was assistant to 3 great conductors, and that orchestra, that festival, was very unique in that they had the principal members from the Vienna Philharmonic come in, and they mentor basically and they play with these young musicians that are all selected from around the world. And I think, it's so unique that this orchestra had a very unique character that I really wanted to do something a little bit similar, except that more local, a little bit more on the provincial side in BC. And I think right now my main objective now is to kind of raise the bar, the level of the string playing in Vancouver, because I think we have magnificent winds and pianists and percussion and brass players. But strings, on the other hand, is something that I think there is definitely a great room for potential growth, and I think I want to try to realize that growth.
That's amazing. So, you as a young guy, what are you doing conducting an orchestra? How did that happen? You have a musical background yourself, obviously. How did that happen, Ken?
Well, when I was young, I was, sort of forced a little bit to do piano and
It kind of goes with the territory.
never really liked practicing, to be honest. My mother was always very insistent. She would sit beside me and make sure I played through 1 hour of practicing, all my scales and everything. But I would have rather spent my time playing soccer or basketball or something. But when I was 18, I entered law school first.
Really?
And then, law school, there's so many books you had to read. And, by the time we had midterms, I mean, half of the books I haven't still read, and they were still in those plastic wraps, so I went and got a refund, dropped out, and went into music, studying piano and percussion, and never really looked back on it. But I had an unfortunate accident when I was 20. Playing handball, and I sort of smashed my finger. So really, my piano facility is not as great as it could have been. So that's when I really turned into conducting. I was watching TV one night. I remember there was a Japanese conductor with big hair, and he was conducting the Berlin Philharmonic, and I was quite inspired by that. So went to Japan and started studying, and a year and a half later I got pointed into the Pacific Music Festival, so it was very quick.
That's amazing. And now, how do you feel about your mom making you practice now when you think about it and you look back on that? Really, because there's a lot of kids that are really having to do that may or may not have your future. What do you say to that?
I think it's something that has to be encouraged, not forced. Practicing is something that has to be willing, something that you have to be willing to do. If you're being forced into doing something, I don't think there is any objective or any heart in putting into it. One of the things is parents always compare how long they practice. My kid practiced 2 hours, my kid practiced 3 hours. For me, it doesn't make a difference. It's the quality of practicing, whereas, the quality of studying for a biology test. It's about how well you know each thing. It's not about how long you studied, And so parents have to realize, some kids are absolutely more gifted than the others, and to encourage them to practice. Say, give me 30 minutes of absolute 100%, and that would be much better than 50% an hour and a half. So this is something I say about practicing. Now, being in the professional music, I think the pressure doesn't come from my parents or anything. It comes from, looking at my schedule. I see, oh my God, I have 50 concerts this year, or I have 100 concerts this year. We have to really prepare in advance.
Now, one of the things that I just want to end with, because I was fascinated, was when we met, and you were a little earlier this year, and you were talking about this amazing thing that you do with auditions, that we described it almost like the American Idol of orchestras. What is it that you do? Can you just tell us where you go, what cities, and how long you're there for, and what it is that you're doing?
Well, for this orchestra in Hyogo in Japan, it's pretty much like this Pacific Music Festival that I talk about. So basically we go around the world and we recruit probably the top players from all over the world, as much as we can, up to 35 years of age. And so basically it is a little bit like American Idol. I mean, it's, we're there and we're there to see what they have, and if they have it, then they really get selected. And it's actually quite fascinating to see how many different styles and how many different talent there are around the world. We travel to places like New York, Chicago, London, Berlin, all these places, and we just find that everyone is just different and unique, which I think makes it interesting for everybody. Everyone has their own personality.
Now, how does somebody, if they're this passionate young person and they're extremely skilled, and they think we wanna play in an orchestra that Ken is conducting, how would they be able to do that? Is that a reality for them?
It is a reality. I mean, I love working with young people, and for example, I work a lot with the provincial youth orchestras. For example, they had the honor orchestra in BC. They have, of course, this orchestra, but I mean, there's very few exceptions for high school students here. But right now, one of my key next project, my next mandate is to create a string orchestra of 21 players, and it would be the most elite string players, and to put them together and really try to gain them up, because I think that would bring the level of the playing in Vancouver to a tremendous, because Vancouver really does have the talents, and Vancouver really has everything. I think Vancouver has the people, they have the support, so I think there's no doubt that this project can be realized.
And on a very personal level, what is in your future? What is it that you want for how do you see your tomorrows? What is it that you're passionate about, Ken, moving forward?
Right now, I'm very happy to be where I am right now. This is something that I do just purely for the love. Right now, I enjoy traveling a lot to different orchestras, really getting to know people in different countries, different cities, really to also learn from them, because I learn tremendously a lot from going out to the different publics, and the public had each public had their own personality, and each orchestra had their own personality. So I find it very fascinating traveling, and I love that. And once I have a family, I think I would have to eventually settle down in one city a little bit longer. But right now, I think it's great. I would love to be a music director of a major orchestra in the future. I don't think the time is right now, but eventually, I think maybe within the next 5 years to 10 years, I would love to see myself in one of those positions.
So what I hear him saying is that in 5 to 10 years, he's going to be married with children and in a really, really, really lucrative job somewhere in one of these major cities around the world. Ken, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to come here today. And to learn more about the Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra, there is a website.
Absolutely. That's www.vmocanada.com.
Excellent. And then, of course, you can Google Ken Hsieh and find out a little bit more. Thanks so much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much.